And good evening again. Here I am doing another video. Well, I was asked by one of my few watchers what helicopters are there in DCS, and voila, there we go. The UH-1 Huey. This is made by a developer called Belsim Tech. I have it here in the United Nations library, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's still same old Huey. It's just for this map I use the UN library. So I'm going to show you how this thing starts. I'm not going to go through all the tests probably, but anyway, I'll show you at least what I remember from the manual off the top of my head. So first we need to sort out the electrics. AC needs to go to AC phase. We need to turn on the essential bus. Main generator, prepare to start. Battery on. Now there's supposed to be a really loud alarm, but my in-cockpit sounds are a bit low volume, so I'll turn this off. We'll test these lights. We can make them dimmer or brighter, however we want. We need to set this this radio to TR, and here we have an ADF radio. If you have seen my L39 videos, yes, this thing comes with ADF navigation. Nothing more, unfortunately. It's a very, well, 1960s helicopter, but it does have radio navigation, so you will not be completely lost in bad weather. So now that we've turned on the electrics, let's sort out the rest. The governor here needs to go to auto. We need to activate the fuel. So the pump light systems are gone. The hydraulics and force trim, we use that to trim the cyclic, for example. Next we need to open the throttle to about here. So the throttle is this twisty control here on the collective, and this usually operates 110%. Then it's as simple as setting up the starter. And we can watch the RPM here and the gas producer, which is here for monitors gas production, I guess. I don't exactly know what it does. We need to hold the starter button for about 40 seconds or until this EGT reaches 40, but this gas producer reaches 40, but now it's already at 40, so it started up. We're gonna wait for it to settle down on the rotor side as well. This is warning us that we have a low RPM limit, but that's not true. We're going to activate the inverter to put it on the main bus. We have no more lights on. Then we're gonna throttle up to 100%. And the RPM is going to increase to 60 to 70%, 60 to 70 here. The instruments are very similar to those of an aircraft. I mean, it's a helicopter, it's still an aircraft. So we have an HSI, vertical speed indicator, altimeter, horizontal ADI, sorry, a clock, a radio navigation, OBS it's called. It can use NDB as I said, ADF. Copilot has similar controls. We can, for example, lower or raise these depending on what we need. We can also set the altimeter, and I think it's here. Well, we could of course talk to Batumi, startup.
Batumi, in field 1-2, request startup.
But I haven't really gone to the Batumi station, so I'm not gonna even do it in this video. Anyway, let's exit the communications menu. So taking off in this now, helicopters are equipped with button pedals. Let's actually sort out the lighting system. Intercom needs to be set to 3, so we can actually talk to everybody else. In the helicopter, navigation lights, let's put it to bright. Alright, let's see what else. Anti-collision on. Position lights, flash. pitot heater switch on. Okay, and then we can switch the dome for night vision or daytime vision, of course. And if you look outside, here's the helicopter started, all the lights on, we're ready to go. And there's another UH-1H, which is an AI, doesn't really matter. It also has landing lights, it's under the nose, it can also extend the landing lights. It has a little searchlight in the front, so now it can do all sorts of things. Then we have the searchlight. Let's put it on. Okay, there's a little searchlight, and we have all sorts of switches here. So, I mean, the collective itself has quite a bit of switches, but we're gonna focus on the basics. So, taking off with these things, sure, hovering would be amazing. Programmers would do anything at the moment. I mean, I can use it with door gunners, I just don't want to. We can actually shoot. Now we're gonna set the cyclic, which controls the direction, about here, and we're gonna give it a bit of left pedal because this has the tendency of yawing to the right. So we're gonna put up slowly, start to pick up the collective. I don't have a throttle lever also, so I'm using the slider on this joystick. It's not easy, but it's doable. Now we're gonna start moving. Hop. More left pedal. Okay. Let's try to. Oh, we're gonna. Guess it wants to fly that way, and a bit forward as well. Okay. Well, if that's what it wants, let's let it do what it wants. And we're just gonna. This is a rolling takeoff. I can't really hover in this yet, so it has a mind of its own. I swear to God, it has a mind of its own. So it's a bit hard to control at these low speeds. I have landed a few times. It wasn't very difficult to land, but the helicopter requires much more gentle inputs rather than being aggressive on the stick. Here we are on a semi-decent, well, hover, I guess, if it can be called that way. This doesn't have any autopilots, by the way, so this helicopter is pretty much very hands-on experience. Let's try to taxi to the end of the runway at least. We're very low altitude, so we're not going up, we're not going down, so we're just slowly taxiing above the ground. We don't have wheels. I do prefer wheeled helicopters rather than the ones with skids, but I mean the ones with skids do the job as well. And again, it's pretty hard without pedals, so I do not have pedals yet. I plan to buy them at some point. And we're going below 20 knots. I mean, we're not going very fast. We're just taxiing here over the grass. And I'm a bit oversteering because helicopters are a bit iffy like that. They like very gentle inputs, but I keep changing the pitch in the blades quite quick, so. And here on the ground, I'm not going to try not to bank left and right. I'll just use the tail rotor to just hover over the ground. I could also trim it and just keep the left rudder pedal and it would just fly, so. And of course there's always the possibility to reset the trim. Now it wants to go forward because the stick was centered, so. See, it's a bit. I'm not really good with this. Helicopters for me are a scary thing. And this is the helicopter getting a bit out of control. But here we go. I mean, I can fly it. A level flight is incredibly easy. It's responsive. It's what you would expect a helicopter to be, but The hardest part for me are the takeoff and landing. And I don't know why it's going that way, so apparently, as I said, it has a mind of its own. I'm trying to make it stop or run it, trying to keep it from going too much. Alright, now we've stopped it, and we're gonna keep a lot less the left pedal. Now let's let it turn very gently. It wants to turn, so it's fine if it turns that way, now at least. And for a rolling takeoff, I would simply try to keep it forward and raise the collective to get translational lift. Now we're already flying above 30 knots, which is the Huey's actually rolling takeoff speed, I think. If I remember the numbers right, we can try to settle it in some aspect here. Now we're almost, well, kind of hovering, I guess. This map also has targets, so ground targets. But anyway, we're flying very low, like about 40 knots. And we're climbing constantly, so we're going to need to cut off the collective a little bit, just to lower it, because I don't want to climb anymore. I'm simply just trying to keep her in one place and under control. Now here it's a bit easier, but I'm gonna reset the trim, see what it does. As I said, it has a mind of its own. I need to be extremely careful. And cut the collective a little bit more and try to reduce the speed. I'm actually about 120-ish, 30-ish feet high, so I don't want to fly any faster. I'm just trying to. Now here I have no problem keeping it under control, but close to the ground I think it's the hardest part to be in a helicopter. I will try to land, but it most likely will end up in a fireball, so that's usually what happens when I try to land a helicopter. Except the Ka-50, but Ka-50 is a different toy altogether. Just I'm trying to get used to making gentle inputs for a helicopter, but it's not very easy. Well, I'm actually I was over 1,000 feet high. 400 meters. Let's try to turn it around, descend, and then fly the level towards land, and eventually, touch down. Descending about, that's 500 feet a minute. We should be descending a lot slower now. Let's put some pedal to the metal to keep it steady. It's gonna start to want to spin. As you can see, my speed is pretty low, so keeping it steady is not an easy job. So flying with a twisting joystick is a bit hard because it's actually pretty straining for my wrist to constantly keep the... Well, this is me just keeping left pedal, so I didn't let it settle one place or another, so... That wants to go right again. And I have landed this before. It wasn't usually, it was more of a rolling landing, but I did land it before. I just trying not to move high. I'm trying to actually go lower, so let's lower the collective a bit. We don't need that much collective pitch, but I'm more or less hovering now, but actually I'm flying about 52 kilometers per hour. But it was so slow, I thought I was hovering. Let's try to go forward a bit and get some speed. Due to the fact that I don't have pedals, I do prefer right now the fixed wing aircraft, which I do have quite a bit models, so my stables, to put it that way, is pretty well stocked for my flying needs at the moment, so just trying to maintain the altitude here. Now let's trim it and let's push the pedal. I was just, you know, nicely flying forward about 64 kilometers an hour. The helicopters that do have autopilots are the K-50 and Mi-8. Mi-8 has stabilization autopilots. They do work. I mean, they're pretty decent. But it kind of needs them because it's a very large helicopter compared to the Huey or the K-50 or the Gazelle. Gazelle is pretty much a small scout helicopter. And the Huey is I don't know. It's a helicopter, but I don't know how large I would count it. It's smaller than the Black Hawk, which we don't have in simulation, so it's not a bad helicopter though. Just need to be careful with the inputs. Let's see, which way is this thing flying anyway? It's flying forward, but very slow. I'm trying to keep it slow on purpose. Not let it get out of, you know, grow a mind of its own again, which it does have a habit of doing. We're descending about, well, 100 meters, 100 feet per minute, so it's hard to switch between, you know, imperial and metric all the time. I'm not really good with any particular aircraft. I do have a few that I like, but that's about it. So I haven't decided to specialize in any of them. I do like helicopters quite a bit. I think they're amazing, but I'm scared of them, to be honest. They scare me, and I have to kind of you know, find a way to fly them efficiently. Now here, of course, I can go to a door gunner if I choose to do so. The autopilot basically here, there's an autopilot AI that takes over and I can play with a gun. See, I can just shoot the water if I want. And I can go to the other door gunner, which is on this side of the helicopter. Let's grab his gun and so if I had targets, technically I can. I can also even zoom. Apparently I didn't notice. So there you go. Three and 4 on the keyboard, by the way, are the battery controls. I have actually two heliports here. One is for the K-50 and Mi-8, the other one is for the UH-1 and friends. And Gazelles. You can fly Gazelles if I actually make this a multiplayer map, so I haven't put it online. Nobody would join my server anyway, so doesn't really matter. This is mostly for me and friends, so. I'm just literally orbiting around the airfield, nothing much else. So. I can also zoom out if you want. You can see this a little bit better. And well, let's get some speed and try a landing. Let's try to get some speed here. Let's trim it and keep the pedal forward. And I'm gonna actually go to the end of the river, turn around, and let's try landing. Now it actually flies more like an aircraft, rather like an actual fixed-wing airplane, a helicopter. I'll just set the trim. As it catches speed, I no longer need to use the other pedals to make it go left and right. I can just use the normal, same controls I would use on an airplane. Just the turning is a bit different. Okay, now we've actually accelerated to about 126 kilometers per hour. We are descending because that's what we plan to do. And we're gonna stop at about 1,500 feet. From there, we're gonna start descending, like about where the mountain, small hill in the distance is. We're gonna turn around and start descending into the airfield. If I crash, I crash, so it's a bit. Helicopters are, I should have practiced them more, but I barely have time to play. I'm also trying to actually reduce speed while descending, but keeping up somewhat the descent profiles. I don't want to climb. Collective is on this pretty much on. It will cause me to descend, but this helicopter doesn't have a rudder trim. The Mi-8 does. The other transport helicopter, the Russian helicopter, has rudder trim. So let's lower the collective a bit. We want to descend after all, so it's actually more. It's probably better to descend with the collective rather than, nosing up and nosing down. About 1,000 feet. Not descending fast enough for my taste at the moment. So let's try to descend more. And the speed is about 40 knots, making it drop. can actually slowly turn towards the airfield. And I'm gonna do a banking turn. If we bank too much, by the way, the main rotor causes us to lose lift, which is never something you want in a helicopter. You need banking about 15% is probably 15 degrees, apologies, is probably a good number. So try to keep your ADI, keep an eye on your ADI and your bank angle. This is stuff I learned by watching videos and, you know, just reading along online. The K50 turns better with even more bank angle, but it's easy also to stabilize it. I don't really trust the Huey to be very stable at the moment, so. We're flying a bit sideways here. Let's try to go to the helipad and gain speed again, which is not something I wanted. I have landed the Huey on a boat before. It was like probably one of my lucky streaks, my lucky things, but the K50 on the other hand is actually a good starter for DCS helos if you want to fly a helo. Also might provide you more fun in combat situations because it's more of a combat helicopter rather than a transport helicopter, but I mean the Huey can do combat. It can have miniguns and rockets itself, but okay, we did a hovering profile here. And I would not like to land on the road. After all, it's being impolite. That's a public road, so I'm pretty sure the local Georgians wouldn't be really happy if they have a United Nations helicopter land on the road. It's shaking because it's flying at low speed, so I'm just hoping to make it to the airfield in one piece. Kilometers an hour, I'm not very fast at the moment. I don't want to be fast. I actually want to lose even more speed, but also the shaking's fairly normal. It's just not easy. It's not an easy bird to fly. I mean, I've seen people who fly these things really well. They can actually do really quick stops and go to hover and so on, but not me. We're pretty steady in altitude. We're not really descending nor ascending. So. Down a bit too much, but 500 feet for now is pretty okay. Just the bird needs to start listening and stop having a mind of its own. I'm already keeping a bit of left pedal just in case. And let's try to push forward so we don't enter VRS. The Mi-8, or at least in my hands, is notorious for entering VRS. Vortex ring state. Basically, your rotor creates a column of air in certain conditions where it causes you to lose lift completely and you literally drop like a rock. And that's one of the biggest problems of, well, actually at least one of my biggest personal fears. So. Okay, let's see. Well, we're approaching the airfield. The point is to sit on the other deck, either on the helipad or by the main terminal. Just slowly. military cars outside the airport. I didn't put them there, but just static objects. Really do anything per se. I could descend a bit more. And gain a bit more loose speed. I mean, I'm approaching basically the place where I would like to set her down, but collective up. Hey, I'll take a landing in the parking lot. Oh, there's a tree. Shit, I didn't see the tree there. Guess I wasn't really looking around, so. I'll just hover taxi to the parking lot of the airfield. Yeah, hover taxiing is not hard, you just need to be extremely gentle with the bird, otherwise the bird's gonna crash and kill you. And the hardest helicopter to fly in this game is the Gazelle. People say it's actually the hardest to fly, but if you practice, I guess it's pretty decent. Let's try to slow her down. And, okay, not doing that yet, but alright. And here we are on the ground. Well, we landed. Nobody died. But that's about it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Helicopters are the thing I need to practice. One of the things I need to practice the most. But they're actually great fun once you get the hang of them. I mean, you can literally go anywhere. Unlike fixed wing, but you need an airfield. But anyway, thanks for watching. I hope to see you sometime. Have a good night.